to be thronged with people. You know, before kind of enlisting. Good.
Back when I was at Tech, finished up doing my last day, which was just great big again. Used to wonder why.
Oh, right, I'm having problems because I've lost the attachment to, you know, you sent the attachment for the planning meeting. So I've got to, I can't find it.
Shall I come sit round next to you?
Oh, right, oh, okay, then that'd be helpful, thank you. Yeah, I've got your, I've got where it should be on here. I haven't really put this one, but I haven't got the, there's no attachments to it, unfortunately.
Perhaps we'd like to nominate a chairman.
So,
You begin.
well, that's what I was going to say, we need to nominate chairman first.
Yeah, you Paul, I'm going to do.
It's got to be in favour, yeah, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay then.
Apologies from Councillor Fox.
All right, thank you very much. So this is the STC Planning Meeting for Wednesday 11th of May, and we item number 1 is apologies from absence, and we've got Councillor Fox, as Caroline's nicely said. Is there any other apologies? No? That's good. Thank you very much. Item number 2, declaration of disclosable pecuniary interests and other significant interests. Do we have any interest to disclose? No, that's all right. Okay. And item number 3 is public right to speak. Do we have any public speakers, Caroline? No,
We don't have any public.
Sorry?
We don't have any public.
We've got Christina here. Am I loud enough for you, Christine, or should I speak up, do you think?
Speaking up would be brilliant if you
sorry,
could.
Yeah, beg your pardon. Sorry about that. So, I hope I don't drown you. So item number 4 is planning applications, and we have number 1 is reference 2200-462, location 5 to 11 Birch Avenue, and 29 to 52 Laburnum Avenue, Sandwich, CT 130AX. The proposal here is a formation of new vehicular accesses for 26 parking bays, alterations to existing hard surfaces, ramps and steps, and an installation of new bin storage area, bollard lighting, and widening of existing wall openings. Are you all aware of where this is at all?
Yeah.
And did any of you go around to have a little look at it? You did, oh good, that's very good.
So,
So,
the
oh right, that's right.
Right.
That's it, yeah. And we had a note from the tree warden on this one, which was that the mature tree at the front of property number 35, where proposed existing path is to be removed with new tarmac parking and paths. I would suggest STC might note the loss of green infrastructure, potential damage to trees, limit damage to rooting environmental trees where possible. Sole existing mature tree may be worthy of consideration of a TPO. So that's that one there. So I'm actually in favour of this because I think it's going to bring greater facilities for the elderly. So my proposal would be actually to recommend this this application. But obviously, if anybody's got any issues to raise from the floor, I'll be glad to hear those. So, oh yeah, it's Councillor Wiles.
No.
Mr. Wiles.
Mr. Wiles. Yeah, I looked at all the consultee comments, and from what I could gather, the residents seem to be generally in support of this. Because even though you lose a few on-street parking spaces, there's a big gain for residents. And to be fair, those bungalows look a bit bleak. I think this will help to improve the general amenity.
I noted there was 7 in support, 7 letters in support and 3 in objection. So that's a good point there. So yes.
Can we support it subject to the recommendations of the tree warden?
Of course.
Because it must be possible not to damage the one mature tree that is admittedly next to a path, but surely you can adjust slightly so that people get their parking bays, but what trees are there are preserved.
Yeah, we can put that forward. That's a good suggestion to put forward. So, oh, sorry.
Yeah, just on this application, this is the result of about 6 months worth of consultation with the bungalow residents through the multi-agency workforce at Dover District Council, and this is a result of their aspirations for the area, and the residents are wholly supporting it because they were the ones that suggested it. So
That's good.
Yeah.
the parking in that area is fairly atrocious at times, so this should alleviate a lot of the problems.
And it's very important for the carers and like any medical vehicles or whatever have to come down, possibly even prescriptions and things like that.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the obviously the elderly care now is led by at home in care supported living, and the new parking bays facilitate that new way of supporting the household rather than people moving into care homes.
That's good, thank you for that addition. Can you take our thanks back to Dover District Council for all the work and effort that they've put into this scheme? I'm sure it will be a great advantage to the residents of the bungalows then, thank you.
Yeah, I noticed one of the persons that objected don't even live there, lives in Lynch Street.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
So, no, like you're saying, and the ambulance is actually stopping in the middle of the road there sometimes because they can't get anywhere. And of course then they've got to try and get people between cars into the ambulance, so this is a great scheme. Yeah.
So we've got a recommendation to approve this planning application. All those in favour? Thank you. Oh yeah, big one, yeah, on the condition of the recommendation from the tree report there. Thank you very much. So, and then item number 2 is 22/00496, location 1 St George's Road. Oh, sorry, big one, sorry. That one there is it, sorry. Big one. 22/00206, location Barnes End Court, Millwall Place, Sandwich CT13 9BH. And the proposal here is the installation and relocation of bin storage areas, alterations to existing hard surfaces and fencing. And I went along there last night and, oh sorry, I'll just come to you in a minute, councillor friend. I went along there last night and to tell you the truth, I don't know if anybody else has been to Barnes End Court to have a little look, but the bins are all just completely visible and they actually make the place look very untidy and scrappy. So the changes that Dover District are actually putting forward here do look actually very good. I think they'll make a vast change, and the widening of the paths for things such as wheelchairs and things, mobility scooters, I think will be good there. So I've got to go to Councillor Friend first, sorry, because he put his hand up first.
Yeah, no, just on that one, this is a result again of the multi-agency task force from Dover District Council that I pushed for them to do as a result of consultation with the residents there, and like Councillor Carter's alluded to, the current situation with the bins is pretty dire, and this will it will please the residents of Barnes End Court no end. It's much better.
That's brilliant, thank you very much for that, Councillor Friend.
Well, mine's pretty much just concurring with what's already been said. I've been around there several times now, and it is exceptionally dire. I'm very happy this is going forward, so yeah, very much going to support this.
That's great.
So and this has been seconded, that we go ahead with this, then I'll be happy to second.
That's brilliant, thank you very much for that, Councillor Sampson. We've just got a note here from the tree warden. The existing bin store above, existing tree to be retained and bin store to be relocated. Proposed site plan states 2 existing yew trees to be relocated where possible at the proposed new location for bin store A. So would we be happy to include the recommendations from the tree warden as well there? That's good. And would you be happy to second those, Councillor Sampson? That's super. Okay, all those in favour of this application? Thank you very much. Okay, and item number 3 is reference 22/00496, location 1 St George's Road, Sandwich, CT13 9JR, and the proposal here is the erection of a side extension with a pitched roof, and that's it. And I don't know if I've once again had a look at this last night. It's got quite a large garden to the side, and as you look from the road, either from where the petrol station is or from St George's Road, there's trees and bushes there which I think will shield any development. But could I have any updates from the floor or any recommendations, please?
Looks all right to me, Paul.
To recommend approval?
Yeah. The back, isn't it?
So that's good. And was there any other comments at all? No. No? Okay. Would somebody like to second that at all? Thank you very much. And all those in favour? Super. Thank you. And item number 4 is reference number 22/00424, location 21, Wanson Lees, Sandwich, CT13 9JF, and the proposal here is the erection of a first floor side extension. So I wasn't actually able to get to see this one myself, but I did look at the plans, and I didn't see anything untoward with this application. I don't know, has anybody got any comments?
It's just rear again, I think, isn't it? Don't really notice it from the front, don't they?
No.
Many people on the railway line see that, and that
Exactly,
so
yeah,
that's
that's true, yeah. Wave at the trains. Yeah, so is there a recommendation?
Yeah.
For this one? Propose seconder? That's super. Thank you very much for that, and that has been approved. Well, did I vote on that one? All in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And item number 5 is reference 22/00525, location 2 Foster's Court, Sandwich, CT13 OQU, and the proposal here is crown reduce back to previous reduction points 1 Beach, the subject of Tree Preservation Order number 8 of 2009, and I can give you also a recommendation from the tree warden on this one, and that is that I would suggest that Sandwich Town Council might have no objection to these tree works with the normal conditions limiting the extent of work and work to be carried out to BS 3998 2010. And I myself have some background history on this, because I actually saved this tree several years ago because the neighbour in the adjoining property in Hazelwood Meadow wanted the tree chopped down, so I got Dover District Council to come in and check it, and they said if it was regularly pollarded, the tree should be saved, and that a tree preservation order should be put onto it. And if you've ever seen it, it's a beautiful beech tree, absolute beautiful beech tree, and its only crime is that it obviously drops its leaves in the winter, so but otherwise it's a fantastic tree. So my proposal is to go ahead with this and to include the recommendations of the tree warden. So, do we have any other comments at all?
No, they just take it pollarded before, and they just take it back and pollarded again, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Should we vote on this one? All in favour? Thank you very much. And item number 6 is 22/00548, location advertising right north of TW, that's Thanet Waste Services, Ramsgate Road, Sandwich, Kent, and the proposal is to upgrade 2 existing advertisement hoardings to display internally illuminated digital posters. So, and I don't know if you saw, but the actual new development is actually going to be a lot smaller than what's there, what's existing there already. So I think it should be a great improvement. Also, if it's digital, you won't get that problem with, you know, where posters sort of age and then they start to peel off or discolour or something like that. So,
just the Thanet Waste boundary wall has been erected in such a way that half of the advertising board is redundant. So this is why they've submitted this application and taken the opportunity to take it digital as well. So that's the reasoning behind it. If anyone's driven up there, you can see the remnants of what was once advertised on the now redundant side.
Exactly, thank you very much for that update there, Councillor Friend. So my recommendation is to go ahead with this application. Could I have a second? And all those in favour? Thank you very much. Item number 5 is enforcement. To consider any enforcement notices and issues received from Dover District Council. And I only had one, which I'm going to put to Councillor Friend, just to see if there's an update. I had from a lady called Lynn Lucas, Dover District Council. She said that the planning application that Malcolm Waite had put in, I don't know if you was aware, was invalid.
It's not been verified. They're waiting. They've got a deadline of by the end of next week, I believe, to provide the updated documents. And if they don't, then it will revert back to there's no current application and the enforcement will recommence. But yeah, they have to be reasonable. So, yeah.
Oh, super. Yeah. Thank you very much for that update, Councillor Friend. That's very useful there.
So, is there any update on the lines? I've seen action. There's the windows have been
with the lines. To be fair, that there's been more movement in the last couple of months than I've ever seen there, and they are moving forward. They have submitted. One second, let me find the email. They've submitted a section 211 notification to fell some trees at the location, which are potentially damaging the sewer pipe that runs underneath the road and across that little bit of the stream. It has gone to the tree warden, not the tree warden, the tree and horticultural officer at Dover District Council, and her comments were that they met the applicant on site to discuss the proposal. The trees in question, comprising of 3 sycamores, 1 multi-stemmed sycamore, 2 goat willows and 1 ash, are more than likely self-set and have sprung up around the brickwork to the Delf Stream bridges and banks as well as a sewer pipe. Given that their long-term retention is not viable, they have no issues with their removal. But it is good to see that they're making these types of applications to move forward with the property. So I think we should be encouraging with this new approach from the property owner to do something with that site, and it's good to see.
Thank you for that, Councillor.
Have we got any idea what plans they've got for the site?
No, not yet. They're still talking with their solicitors, and it's still the enforcement case on the property is still live, so some of those conversations are still confidential, but it's moving in the right direction. These are the starting blocks for the further work. So.
Right.
So what amazes me is the size of those trees that the tunnel underneath is now collapsed into the down. The weight of them massive trees, weren't they? And there's only sort of brickwork underneath, wasn't it, holding it all up? It's about 2 foot.
Just on the lines as well, I was made aware of another resident in Sandwich that raised concerns about a copper tree in the back of the property, and they felt that it was dangerous. The tree officer Dover District Council tree officer has investigated that, and there's no issues with that tree, although it may appear to the resident that there are some issues with it. Her professional opinion as a horticultural and arborologist specialist is that there is no risk to it. The canopy is fine and green, and pruning of these types of trees, as suggested by the resident, would actually be more detrimental to the overall health of the tree than anything else, so it's fine. But I have forwarded that correspondence off to Caroline and the Chief Executive this afternoon, so hopefully that will be shared with members by the end of the week.
Thank you very much for that.
I'm actually not enforcement, but I've got a question from the last planning meeting. It was those tables outside the waiting room. So we actually went for the sites because there's 5 cycle racks there. But apparently the Dover District Council, I understand, are giving permission, or there. But the only thing is, I'd like Dover District Council to relocate those 5 cycle racks elsewhere in the town.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a difficult one. That one because it's not actually a planning application.
No, it's
It's a
not.
licensing application, isn't it?
But we weren't talking about removal, were we? No.
We had this. Where did we have this conversation? We had this conversation at the Disability Access Group, and it's a bit chicken and egg. Although the owner of the waiting room has alluded to the fact that they may have an agreement with KCC to remove the bike racks, I think they've been premature in disclosing that information because, knowing KCC, I imagine the conversation they've had is, should your street furniture application be successful, then we may be amenable to the movement of those bike racks, subject to you covering the costs. But that in itself is not an implicit approval or yeah, there's no contract there. It's just a conversation of, if you get this, then we'll have a discussion about this.
Yeah.
And they probably said to an officer, well, we'll pay for it. Well, yeah, that's fine, but we need to wait until we get to that part of it. And I think there were concerns, especially at the Disability Access Group, that there was no consultation about the movement of the bike racks, and there's no consultation about the movement of the bike racks because the movement of the bike racks is not even on the agenda yet, because the street furniture licence that would potentially cause that to kick in hasn't even been determined yet. So it's, everyone's getting a bit ahead of themselves at the moment. But
yeah, because we've had bike racks moved before, you know. I mean, they've been over 20 years. We've had them around, so you know, just
yeah, and I mean, strategic photographs of, you know, if I took a photograph of a bike rack at 1 in the morning and said it's never used, then you know that's
right. But I think everybody's all in favour of the business starting up and having another business and the cafe culture and everything like that. And as Councillor Friend quite rightly said, that if the cycle racks are not part of that licensing application, then that will have to be negotiated between Dover District Council and the present tenants or owners of the property. So
yeah, it's a chicken and egg situation again, isn't it? You know, I could apply for planning permission to demolish your house pole. You know, I could get that permission. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I still need to ask you whether I can bulldoze it. So you know, it's different. But just going back to the waiting room as well. The reason we discussed it at the Disability Access Group was there was concern about the movement or restriction of the drop curb to the back of the property that may impede some disability or pushchair access, mobility and dementia sort of issues that would cause. But we did determine in that meeting, I think Chris Elvin was there, myself, Carol George and Councillor Angerson, that the passageway through between the waiting room and Aussie's was sufficient that access could be maintained from the drop curb behind the waiting room and then up that passageway onto there. And with the redevelopments of the Guildhall forecourt, there would be additional drop curbs on both sides, enabling easier access through the town. So it would ultimately result in a net gain in accessibility through that section of the town.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that. That's a good update, because the disabled accessibility is our #1 priority at the moment. So I think Councillor Mr. Wiles was first.
Yeah, I spoke to the manager of the waiting room, and he said he is willing to relocate the bike racks. The question is where. My view is that if they were relocated onto the hatched area, that would make sense, because it would protect the tables and it would be, you know, a very central location. I mean, it's true there are lots of bike racks in Sandwich, and often many of them are empty. But people like to have their bikes close to where they are sitting or drinking or whatever. So I think if as near as possible to there is to be desired.
Of course, yeah, that'd have to be determined by KCC.
Yeah, of course.
As to put
It's
them
a
on the
wider
highway.
issue. But it would help to kind of narrow the road there a
It
bit
would.
and make it harder for traffic to whiz around that corner.
Definitely.
Just to interrupt on that slightly, I can sense KCC Highways Department having a collective aneurysm right now at bike racks on the actual highway. But, you know,
But they need
that's
to
something to discuss.
so you can put a
future.
barrier around that.
That's
Yeah, there may be an option to maybe even extend the build out. You know, they built new build outs in King Street to facilitate bollards and that there, so there's no reason why that couldn't be an option.
Yeah, that'd be good if there was money.
You can be creative with, you know, planting barriers or something.
Exactly, and I think Sandwich Town Council should be a part of those, you know, those recommendations that go forward. So, yes, Councillor Heaven.
To prevent an aneurysm at KCC, not that I often say that, what about placing the bike racks on the Guildhall Square? Because that's a big area, it's mostly open.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. It's another option. I think all the options should be put on the table and be considered. So, as to what's there, but obviously the Guildhall Forecourt will be seen as the sort of main events area, and so it's just whether or not that would encroach on the main events area at all. So, it's obviously going to be a prestigious, you know, new area that we will have. So it's just whether or not we allow bike parking there, or whether it's moved somewhere else, or indeed there's a build out on the indeed. But as I say, there's all speculation at the moment, and we shouldn't actually be considering any of these as being, you know, sufficient that we can act on them at all. So at this present time, it's left with Dover District Council licensing to make the decision and then follow up from there. So as long as everybody's aware of that, thank you. So, and lastly, we had correspondence to receive and consider any correspondence received from Dover District Council in relation to planning matters. And we have got reference APP stroke X 2220 stroke D stroke 22 stroke 329 3653, and this is location Nyumba 2 Short Street, Sandwich, and this is an appeal on the Sundeck appeal under section 78 against the refusal of a householder application, and it was attachment 1, so I don't know how everybody feels about this attachment, about this appeal that was put forward there at all. But obviously, I mean, Sandwich Town Council, I remember this one quite clearly, that we'd rejected this one, and because it's in the conservation area, so we will have to see the outcome of the appeal and the decision from
the neighbours as well.
Yeah, indeed, that's correct. Yeah. Councillor Sampson.
This is one of those more for information situations, so I haven't actually seen in my time on planning, it hasn't been that long, what the process one of these is. So this isn't really one we can comment on, this is for note, and then we find out what happens from DDC.
Indeed, indeed, that's correct. Yeah. So,
okay, how long do they usually roughly take?
It depends on the legality, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, the legality, of the.
I wouldn't sit on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. Appeals can take quite a long time, so it might be a few months. Then Dover District Council will report back to us as how the appeal continues. Obviously, they're the authority for planning, and they report back to us. So, but I know that Sandwich Town Council had a number of issues, and we wouldn't have rejected the application very lightly at all. I think there was quite a number of issues, wasn't there, Councillor Franklin? As you said,
I think they've already done it, haven't they? It was what's it?
It's a retrospective.
They kind of allowed to it, weren't they? Or something? Yeah.
So we will. All those in favour of noting that one.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the final meeting, date and time of the next meeting will be advised after the mayor making ceremony, which I believe is on the 19th of May. So thank you all very much for your input tonight. I'm very grateful for all your learned experience and the support of our Dover District Councillor. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.
Finished on a bow as well.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That's very helpful of you.